You guys, what is going on? Blossom is back, and welcome to episode 3 of Garage Review. A lot of you guys have been asking for it, and I have some great news for all of you. Garage submissions are back open, so if you want to send me your garage, go ahead. However, there are a bit more rules this time to submissions just to make things a lot easier, and also the quality just a lot better. So, first one is I'm not going to take Instagram submissions anymore of pictures because as you saw in the first episode, the resolution was just absolutely horrendous. So I don't want to do that again. So from now on, people have to send in video submissions only. You can do it via Instagram. I wouldn't really prefer that though because you could. The best way to do it, and this is what two of my submissions did today, is just screen record your garage, put it on YouTube, unlist it, and give me the link, and I'll give it for a review. Second of all is it's all in the Google Sheet now, so all your answers and everything is going to be listed in there. And there are going to be three different ways you can get your garage reviewed. The first one is just a normal queue, and that one's actually really long. Currently, right now, I have about 76 garages in the queue, but that one's going to be free. The second one, for $4, you can get priority queue, which means I'm just going to bump you all the way to the front. But then it's for $4, so you're also going to be in just like a 2 or 3 garage video. So just a little shorter review, if that makes sense, but I'll still try my best to make it as in depth as possible. And then the last option is priority queue plus one garage per video. That's going to be $8, and it's just a whole video just in your garage. And we get to just showcase it to the community, and I think it'd be great. I do love this series a lot, so thank you so much for the support. I think you guys like it too. Not only is that we're putting spotlight on other people's garages, but it's a good way to look at other cars, what they look like maxed out, what people have done to them. It's great. So the first guy that we're actually going to be reviewing today was one of our priority purchasers. So thank you so much to Manuel Buehler. If I pronounce your name right, I'm sorry if I got the last part right. I know how to say Manuel correctly just because of Neuer. But this is his garage, so we're going to review it today. So we're going to start off with just looking at the normal consensus of everything. We're talking about 11,000 trophies, 100k, 89 gold, 150 RQ. So we're talking this is like I would say mid to high tier player, just going off the garages. So let's see what he has got going on for us. So we're just gonna start here, and this is why video format is just so much better, resolution so much better, and everything's so much more smooth. So some really key things to come off here, and I have like a whole list right in front of me, so I know what to talk about this time, instead of just like going off what I see. It's nice to see that you have the A-Bar 1500 Biposto. This car, if you guys don't know, is like the new drag king for RQ3. Before that, it was the GMC Caballero. But if you also learn from, I think it was the weekend challenge, that 1500 Biposto is really strong. For 3 RQ, and we're talking 7.40 to 60, it's really, really good. I'm going to guess that that car is performance tires because, as you can see, the language is in, I'm going to say German, but it's definitely not standard because standard's in standard. Pontiac Firebird Trans Am is always a great one to have. It's definitely a keeper. I would say if you really wanted just to invest in maybe and broaden your variety and range in drag cars, you could focus on the GMC Caballero Diablo because, like I said, it used to be the best one before that Biposto came in, but it's still a great car and I have it maxed out. Moving on, I looked at all your comments. It's looking really good. Obviously, it's not really as organized as I wish it would be because you sort it by RQ, but that kind of jumbles it up. So you can see like one Honda Beat is here, then the other Honda Beat's over there. I don't know. Citroen Mahari, though, you got two of those, two maxed out Beats. That's always good. BMW 507 is a nice one. I mean, it's really nice. One thing about that Fiat 131 Mirafiori, it just reminds me of a Lada. I don't know why, but if it's modeled after a Lada, I wouldn't be surprised. One car that I do own in particular is that Fiat Punto. It's not the best RQ6 car, but when I got it, it was RQ5, and it's fair to say it was one of the best RQ5 cars. It's still a pretty good car to have. Max it out, it'll hit about 81 handling, standard tires, medium ground clearance, and it's a pretty light car too. So it's a pretty nice city streets car. But moving on, you have other key cars like the Mercedes-Benz 600, the Renault Fuego Turbo, always very nice to see. Moving on to the uncommons, I have about 3 cars that you can take note about here. The first one I really want to talk about is right here, this Chevrolet S10 Blazer Extreme. This is a Chevrolet I personally don't own, but it seems to be very, very good. It has decent handling. I think it hits like 86, 85. For an uncommon car, that's a lot. 0 to 60 is pretty low as well, and honestly, the low RQ is what makes it so great. A couple days ago, there were Chevrolet events and clubs, and I saw that car all the time. All the pay to wins had it, and they were doing super well. So you could focus on that. Another car that I like to talk about in these garage reviews is the Honda Clarity. In terms of stats, it's just really nothing special. The handling is pretty good, but what really sets it apart from basically every other car is it has like an MRA of like 89 or 98. It's like high. I think it's 89. 98 seems a bit too unreasonable. And then the last car would be the Mazda Yunus Roadster RS Limited. That one over there seems maxed, but I feel like maybe you have another one. If not, I don't know why I listed it down. I'll probably listed down the. Oh, I wrote more Yunus. So you have a lot of key uncommons, and the Volkswagen Corrado is actually really good too. That car reminds me of Butter for some reason. I think it's just the color and the shape. The Butter car, but the Yunus is good. I have 3 maxed out, and like the Mazda event that happened in clubs recently, like I killed it just because of that. Moving on to your rares, once again, what I've been seeing a trend here is that you have a lot of cars maxed out, and you have a lot of cars just there. That's honestly how I have my garage too, so that's really cool. You have a lot of just unmaxed rares lying around, so I'm not sure if that's going to be fused material for you or you plan to max them out in the future. But I see some really key cars. The 396 to stealths is always good, and I've learned this recently. It's always good to just focus on duplicates of really good cars than getting a variety. If you just want to compete well, it's honestly just better to get like multiple of one car because that's the best. That's why I have 3 maxed out Yunus Roadsters. The Firebird's really good. Wouldn't mind if you had Sue maxed out like 996. It's a huge RQ saver, and it beats the El Camino in anything besides a quarter mile. So that's a really good tip if you didn't know that. But if anything, it's a good rare garage. It's a strong rare garage. With all the Italian events coming up, I could also say you could invest in what I call the holy trinity of Italian Renaissance rares, and that is the Maserati Ghibli SS, Maserati Ghibli SS Spider, and the Camzin. You have the Spider maxed out already, but the Camzin and the Ghibli SS could be things you could look at. That Lotus Elise 1.6 is also not maxed, and you can focus on that too. It's about 87 handling, 4.90 to 60. Once again, like I said, since you uh, jumbled it up by RQ, which kind of just jumbles up all the cars together, and sometimes it doesn't put duplicates together. I wouldn't know if you have more than one. Like, I didn't see. I might have missed it. But that could have been your only Lotus Elise 1.6. If it is, that should be the first rare you should work on. Moving on to super rares, though, you have a good variety once again. I see performance, I see off-road, all surface as well, the K5 Blazer, and just it's a good garage. It's a good collection as well. You have the Max Out ZR2, which is a good one. The XJS Trans Am 97 handling. The R21 Euro Cup as well is really really good. One car you could look out for would be the Renault Clio Cup car, the one that used to be ultra rare and got downgraded to a super. Oh wait, you have it. Oh, I didn't even see that in my first walkthrough. Okay, yeah, focus on that Renault Sport Clio Cup car. I hate my French cars, I really do. I think they're trash, but that car is really good. Max it out. I think it hits like 97 handling. It could also hit 98, but according to my sources, my friends, they told me that the 969 version of this car is better than the 699, even though the 699 hits 98. So just 969 that, you'll be fine. Another note that I noted down was you don't have a high-end super rare American medium ground clearance car. So, if you're in an American city streets event in clubs, you might be struggling a bit. So if you really want to focus on that, and I'm just giving you my 2 cents because American cars is my speciality. You could work on a Dodge IROC. It's a great one. Hits about 91 handling, medium ground clearance. It's a great car. Moving on to your ultra rare, so let's see what you got over here. In terms of what I wrote down in my notes, there's 3 cars that you should really take away to really focus on right now. The first one is the Lamborghini LP500, which is the white Countach. It has an MRA from hell, and it's just absolutely amazing. I'm not sure if... Oh, no, there it is. The Countach LP500S, really great car. Another car I noted was also the Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport. This car is a bit of a sleeper. I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's 4.00 to 60, 94 handling, and it's a 90s car as well. So American Dream has a lot of tags. It's really niche. It's really good. That Viper is really good too, but I do prefer that Grand Sport a little more. One other car that you should really max out, and this is like I think your priority upgrade should be, unless you want to focus on the Italian Renaissance cars first, and that'll make sense. But in terms of priority, the first ultra rare you should max out is, I'm just waiting for it to show up, that the TVR Tamora. It is the second best drag car in the ultra rare range, second behind the Roof BTR. And also, it's a two-seater. The Roof BTR surprisingly isn't, because we had that two-seater sprint event recently, and I thought I was going to kill it. Well, I did pretty well, but I thought I was going to kill it because I had 3 maxed out BTRs, but the BTR wasn't included. So the best car for that situation was indeed a TVR Tamora, and it's a great car. It's better than the TVR Tucson convertible, honestly, so it's a good car. You have 2 Porsche 924 Carrera GTS rally specs. You should max it out, and I just saw you actually have a maxed out TVR Tamora. I didn't see that. And you also have a maxed out 924 Carrera rally spec, but I did note that down in my notes. But once again, like I said earlier, the Mazda Eunice, always focus on duplicates. I have like 3 maxed out Porsche 924s, and I use all of them all the time. It's a good rotation to have them in clubs as well. So moving on to epics, I had 3 cars. Well, 3 cars, and I cut one off because I found out that your Porsche RSR was actually maxed. Your Raptor, you have 2 Raptors. If I remembered correctly, none of them are maxed. You should focus on those Raptors. I'm a huge fan of the Raptor. It's one of the best off-roaders in the game. It is the best off-road American car in the game, and I mean, it's like the best off-road epic in the game, possibly win the pickup range. Obviously, there are a lot of like game changer, legendary off-roads, but those are hard to get. One more thing I want to focus on, and I think we just passed this, is indeed that Renault Sport Megane trophy. So if I were you, if I was going to max out the next epic, I would either choose the Banana or the Raptor. It's going to be up to you, but personally, I would go Raptor then Banana. But then I know a lot of people will go Banana then Raptor. They're both really niche cars, but they're really strong in their category. So just focus on them both. I can tell you're a BMW fan. If not, you got 2 maxed out CSs and 1 maxed out M3 CRT. I like to see that though. I love my Beamers. That's a pretty good one too. Lotus 211 supercharged, but you do have the maxed out super light, which is fine. That's just better. I see the wide body, it's great. But what really just sets you apart here is probably your legendary collection. For someone that has 11,000 trophies, the amount of prize cars you have is actually really impressive. And these are like really niche, strong prize cars. I'm mainly talking about the GT1 race car and the 405 Pikes Peak. I think that Pikes Peak was from the BMW event, which makes sense because you have 2 of those maxed out M3 CSs. You also have the 918, which is very impressive. I don't know if you got that from the first time it came out or the second time at French Renaissance, but I would understand if it was French Renaissance because you have that EB110 and French cars. But you have a really strong garage. It's your variety for legendaries is better than mine. I'm not even joking. Because you have an off-roader. You have a couple, I think. A couple, or just one. You have 1 all-surface tire off-road legendary. That's 1 more than me. So that's really impressive. And once again, you have about, I think I counted 12 legendaries. For someone that has 11,000 trophies, that's really impressive. But I have to say, it's a good garage. It's really solid, and it's time to give it a score. So for Manuel, thank you so much once again for getting the priority queue. I'm going to start off with the uniqueness of your garage. Once again, legendaries, definitely unique with the prize cards. But when it comes to just the lower end ones, the rares, the uncommons, and all that, it's not really unique. Key cards aren't really unique. That's basically what everybody wants to get. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Moving on to patriotism, I don't see a lot of American cars there, but I mean, you do have, I think, quite a bit of BMWs, but I didn't really catch on to the fact that you like BMWs until I saw those epics. So I wouldn't think there's a lot of patriotism. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Moving on to character, definitely has some character to the garage. You don't see a lot of garages with like 3 maxed out BMWs. I like to see that. That's the one thing that really stuck with me there. But once again, it was kind of hard for me to see how many duplicates you had of every car since everything was all jumbled up. But I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10, which gives me a total of, I think, like 16. So moving on to the top drive scale, it's good. It's good. It's a big garage. You definitely have a wide variety. It's a big garage, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Moving on to strength, a lot of key cars maxed. And also just a lot of key cards in general, a lot of great legendaries. It's great. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Moving on to versatility, once again, your legendaries, very versatile. I see a lot of variations in all of your rarities, and I think it's just really it's solid, honestly, especially for, your trophy count. I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10, but I might change that to a 7, just in case, if I review any sharks in the near future, they're going to hit much higher scores. Moving on to the lethal level. Once again, when you combine a strong scale, strength, and versatility, you can tell that your lethal level is going to be pretty high. And I'm going to give you a 7 out of 10 because you have an all-surface tire prize car legendary. That is like as niche gets. Not a lot of people have that. Obviously, with the Lancia carbon fibers out right now, that is going to be a bit more competitive in that category. But for now, you're sitting high. You're sitting pretty. Moving on to potential. I'm gonna give it a 9. That's. I'm gonna applaud you for that. I'm not gonna do the math. I'll figure it out now. I guess I know 7 times 3 is 21, but then my math is just so bad. Let's check. 21, 29, 38. That is really high. That is the highest total score on the top drive scale so far. So congratulations to you, Manuel. You have an bang average Blossom score. So we'll add that plus 16, and that gives us a final score of 54, bringing you the highest score on the Blossom list right now. Anyway, with that said, let's move on to our second garage of the day, and this is going to be from Jakob H. Hopefully I pronounced that correct. Once again, much like Manuel, Jakob purchased the priority queue. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate that. Your garage here, I went through this, 1 or 2 times. I really enjoyed what I saw. And compared to Manuel's notes, I don't have as much for you because, looking at your commons, your uncommons, your rares, it looks like every card you have is maxed. Okay, so one thing I have listed on here is you could focus on getting a Renault Fuego Turbo. You have a lot of maxed out commons, but one key card I see missing is that Renault Fuego Turbo, so you could focus on that. Moving on to uncommons, in my notes I just wrote uncommon. Wow. Me, I don't really collect a lot of uncommons, but doing these garage reviews prompt me to, I guess, broaden the variety of my own garage as well, because I see the potential a lot of these cards can bring to the table. But in terms of all the key cards I'm looking for, we're talking Corrado, the Blazer, the Laser, the GTX, the 924. You have it all, so I don't know what to say. It's very, very good. Moving on to rares, and once again, I just love the whole aesthetic of this garage. I love how just every car is just maxed. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. But obviously, this is where we get to see a lot of, just a little bit of cars where they're not maxed, but that's completely fine because I'm going to just assume that those are cars that you want to use for Fuse, right? But yeah, it's a massive garage. It's a huge garage for 8,000 trophies. That's just one thing I realized right here on the spot. I remember when I had 8,000 trophies, I had like 5 rares and like 3 uncommons, and like a garage space of like 50. So it's nice to see how far the top drives player has evolved, or maybe how hard the game has become. I don't know. But definitely my garage does not look like this, and I have about 20k more trophies, so I don't know if I should be afraid. The one note I have for rare here is indeed that Lamborghini Lamborghini Yalpa. It's a great car. It's a good all-rounder Italian Renaissance. That's what I say all the time. In terms of just the general consensus of it is bad, but the one niche of it being Italian Renaissance is really great. So moving on to super rares, the only note I have here is just focus on duplicates because once again you have a lot of key cars, but it's one thing to just have a variety and try and get a maxed of every single car that you can get. And then there's another part where you can just get super competitive and get 5 maxed out XJS Trans Ams. So I'm sure you know what the key cars are. Just kind of focus on that, try and get duplicates of that, max those out. A good one thing I wanted to do in my garage is get like 3 or 4 maxed out Datsun 240Zs. And you definitely have the potential to do that as well. Definitely you've spent a lot of time on the game. This is like 3 times more. You just have 3 times more max super rares than I do in my garage, honestly. So I feel like you'd be killing it in clubs. Honestly, if you had the time, you had the grind, you had the bonus, you could easily, with that variety, you could make like 250k a day. Moving on to ultra rare. This is where the trend of every car is max kind of breaks off a bit, but that's fine because ultra rare is where things get a little bit more expensive to invest in, and just takes a lot more work and a lot more time. Still, it's a good variety. I see, that C4 Grand Sport. The Magan 275 is always a good 197 handling. 911 Carrera, it's a lot. Mercedes SLC 43 as well is a very strong car. The only thing I really have that if you really want to focus on is probably, like I said, duplicates. You could focus on another 924, or you could focus on the Mercedes AMG S55 996. It hits 3.60 to 60. It's a good drag car, decent MRA as well. But overall, very very strong, very very impressed. Moving on, to your epics. The number one epic I would say work on, same as Manuel, is the SVT Raptor. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the SVT Raptor because they think, RQ24 is not 26, it could be better. But to be completely honest, once again, it's super niche, the category it's in. It's the only car in its class. So the Raptor is really just the best it can get. It looks like you're maxing out the Gran Turismo to prepare yourself for the Italian Renaissance events as well, which is, it's smart. But after that Maserati is done, I would say focus on the Raptor. But moving on here, I see a lot of one-star epics, and I don't know if you actually have a good use for them, or if you just keep them around because they're epics. Because cars like the Volkswagen Arteon, even the BMW M6 at some points, the M240i, the Mercedes AMG S65, all those, arguably could be fused. So I don't know why you have them around, but personally, I could say you didn't need to spend 20k on some of them, just so you could fuse them. The last thing that I want to talk about is indeed the legendaries. I got no notes here because this is pretty fundamental. You have a maxed out 12C. For someone that has 8,000 trophies and already has a maxed out legendary is actually really insane. I got my first maxed out legendary when I hit like 25k trophies. So very, very impressive. You also have 2 prize cars. I feel like a lot of people have like multiple American Dream prize cars, but I personally don't. I just have the Demon. I've missed out like every other one. But in terms of what legendary to upgrade, which is usually what is the main question everyone has, it's fundamental. I would say put an upgrade, 363 the 650S and 363 the Porsche 935 Moby Dick. Those two are going to be fundamental. Anyway, good garage, solid garage. So let's give it a score. So what I got over here for the Blossom score, the first one is going to be, and yeah, your in-game name is RioEXE, but then your YouTube name is Jakob, so I'm not sure how you want me to put your name there. Just comment down below to see what name you want. So moving on to uniqueness, it's a unique garage. It's a very unique garage, and I'm gonna give it a 8. For that is because yes, you have a lot of maxed out key cars, but you also have a lot of maxed out cars that I wouldn't max out, and I don't know. I feel like you're doing that just to get that collection going, and I respect that. I like it a lot. In terms of patriotism, once again, I didn't see a lot of American cars, so I'm going to give it a 4. Or I didn't see a lot of cars from one country in that particular order. Maybe you're a fan of Italian because you're maxing out the Italian Renaissance Maserati, but I'm not sure. I can change that score over time. Moving on to character, the car has a lot of character. It's actually very, very unique, very stable, very organized. I love it a lot. Give it a 7. Moving on to, so that's 19, right? Yeah. Moving on to the top graph scale. For 8,000 trophies, massive garage. Very impressive. I applaud that. I'm going to give you an 8. Moving on to strength, once again, has to be an 8 just because they're all maxed out. Versatility, I saw a huge range, especially from just common to super rare, but then it kind of drops down, ultra rare and above, especially in terms of versatility. So I'm going to give you a 6. Moving on to lethal level, in terms of the clubs factor, super high. But anything else, especially like finals and all that, that's where you might struggle a bit. But overall, it's a strong showing. I'll give you a 7. Moving on to potential, once again, I have to give you another 9 for this because it's a great foundation. Honestly, that foundation is the most solid one I've seen in my review so far. So these are 2 very, very high scores. 2 very organized, big garages with variety, and I like to see that a lot. So the total score is going to be 38. So you actually, wow, 57 out of 70. So it looks like Manuel only had top spot for just about 8 minutes before you came in and took over. Anyway, that is going to wrap up the video for today. So once again, if you want to submit your video of your garage, there's going to be a link down in the description below where you can do that. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for the support. See you all next time.